Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Resident Evil 4 with the fan-made HD mod. We're doing separate ways, and if I can remember which button it is, like we've run into the maximum issue I think with separate ways in particular, in that I don't think you ever can upgrade your space any more than this. You really can't buy any other weapons. This is all that you can get. You could potentially sell a weapon and make a little bit more space. You're probably not going to be able to get your health all the way to max. And without like a tactical vest upgrade, you are still going to take damage quite a bit. These levels are fairly small. We're going to go through here and then run back one way to get a treasure and just see what's there, and then we're going to run back another way to let's see. Like, I don't even know where I am out of walking out of that door. Like, this is supposed to kind of be, I thought, the place where the truck went through, but honestly this feels like a completely different area that I've just never seen before. More of a factory oil rig, which there was some implications that the island had something like that, certainly, but I don't know if the game fully embraced that. The island is this weird nebulous connection of things. Like, it's everything and nothing all at the same time. And with the sniper rifle, seems like if we can find something that would attack us, we can shoot it. But in a lot of cases, I think that's the treasure. You can't do that because the game doesn't spawn enemies until you've reached a specific spot. Either that's the case, or you're going to have a boss fight here that would be weird, or you're going to have a I don't even know where the guy is coming from. Like, I can hear him, can't see him. Guess he's coming around this way. Can I get just the arm of that guy? Apparently so. So I guess the idea is that we may not come back, and that we're trying to work our way around. The danger, of course, around this idea is that really at any point a hook shot could trigger. So you could jump down. Where are we actually going? So we need to go, I guess, all the way around to get through that. And then this is like the only place where you can jump down. Yep. That's kind of a great example of where these actually cost more than these sell for more. So yeah, that's an area where no real help. To try and snipe things would happen because these guys are either out of view or not even spawned in the game. Double tapping, triple tapping while trying to take on this guy is not helping. Alright, so that gets rid of that as a potential weapon to use, which good. Means no more nonsense around using the handgun, arguably for the rest of the game. Of course, that's the end of the sniper bullets too, so and that highlights the problem with the semi-automatic sniper as a gun. Just nothing works if you run out of bullets. The game won't all of a sudden become more generous and just spawn barrels that weren't there before or anything like that. So we can see the rest of the curve around here, but I'm not sure I actually can access the rest of the curve around there. If I could do that, there would be a place where you could like climb up. And that doesn't seem to be the case. Unless there was a way to jump down. Now what is over here? Probably nothing. The map isn't showing any treasures, so going back that way may not really matter. But clearly over here there is a treasure to get. What would be the most annoying thing is if it was that, because that does really imply that unless this map gets a lot longer, we probably aren't getting the other two pieces of that item. And we never got the beer stein, which I don't know how you would have gotten the beer stein. Although, in fairness, I will say I kind of do have this vague recollection of it playing out that way exactly the last time I played Separate Ways. So, if there was a mistake I did to not get the beer stein, it's a mistake that I am habitually doing. Yeah. I guess you can put these on top of each other upside down, so there's no real issue there. Yeah, this just does not work though. If you're going to use the shotgun, once you get the headshots, you need to then go to a handgun. Long distance trying to shoot these guys. I'm really just wasting bullets. Yeah. It's probably best to use a bow here. But maybe aim higher. Yeah. I think that probably saves the day a lot better. And saves ammo a lot better. We're finding a lot of red leaves. And not any yellow leaves. I would need... It would feel like 6 or 7 minimum to really take on. Yeah, it feels like 6 or 7 minimum yellow leaves to get my health all the way to the maximum. Is there any point here where the hook shot would be suggested to get up here? Doesn't seem like it. Nor does it seem like you might get up there. Although maybe you will. So while the level design is very curvy, the actual level entrance and exits are fairly linear. There's just a in and out with not really any side missions or side passageways. I guess after throwing 3 or 4 knives at you, the guy gives up and just tries to chase after you. Alright. So the only other thing to ask would be if you could possibly jump down this way, which it looks like you could jump down this way, but no. And you can't hookshot up that way. We can now go backwards if we want to, but is there any real reason to go backwards? Nope, we've gotten the treasure. And what this really is just going to do for you is probably have you fighting Krauser in some weird alternate history story. Oh, there's more to it. Because we haven't seen like any other boss at all, and so I would assume we're just going to end up fighting Krauser. They're talking about Krauser. This is the room that is another one of those little chapel rooms, I bet, where Sadler was in. And so we have that. There was a little bit of wonkiness. I've had this game running. Nope. This is the room of the chapel. So this is just the top side of the room where the merchant was, and had a bunch of just chairs, and felt like it was an abandoned museum / storage. There's window here that she jumped through. Other windows not broken. Now that we're back lower, we can see that there is 2 more treasures, so maybe we will actually get all of the things. 2 rifle ammo is hardly a lot. the second eye of the Phoenix. Some bolts. Kind of useful. Seems like we can't open that door, so we should do that. This is kind of a great example of a room that's not used very well at all. Feels like it's kind of a waiting room, almost museum-like room. And in separate ways, in particular, this would have been a great spot for them to introduce or a new fight, or at least have some zombies here, something at all. Here's the truck just broken. Must be Leon's handiwork. I guess in part it was Leon's fault that happened, but in most part it was Ashley's. You're heavily failing the flawed concept of the Bechdel test, which honestly has become more of a joke even amongst people who would have actually like strong-armed or steel-manned the concept of the Bechdel test. In the sense, just to explain it, that Ada never mentions Ashley at all. She doesn't care about her, potentially doesn't even know she exists. Ashley asks about Ada in the very last cutscene at the end of the game, and Leon doesn't say anything. And yeah, one of the things that the Bechdel test complains about is two women being in a movie and not having just normal human conversations that don't involve talking about a male or a romantic interest or being anything other than just arm candy for the male protagonist in a story. Although, in all fairness, if we were going to flip it on its head and ask if Lewis ever talks about Leon, or if Lewis and Leon ever talk about anything other than a female in Ashley, it's not like there's a lot of conversation that happens in any of the game. And yeah, it is certainly one-sided, the idea of the Bechdel test, to only be concerned about what women are talking about. I feel like I'm going to run into a regenerator, and that probably will require using the TMP more. 20 was the max. So now we have to somewhat struggle. If anything, you could have just been selling these bolts. And then that would have freed you up a lot of room and given you some gold. This is another room that's just destroyed, and it just doesn't make sense that there would be nobody to explain why the room is destroyed, or no new conflict in this room to reuse this room for something. It wouldn't be terrible to walk up here and then have a bunch of zombies, or even really strong zombies, come through this door and start chasing you, and then you can either run or fight them. It also wouldn't have been a terrible idea to have the events of this game take place a year later, where the Las Plagas are now just wild and not under the control of anybody, or there's a new bad guy who seems to be in charge of the Las Plagas, and so you're coming in to do cleanup work. Yeah, we really don't see in the Resident Evil universe any kind of solutions to the BOWs and Las Plagas and the I'm gonna see if I can hit something here. I don't know if that worked or not. Like their solution to the zombie virus was to straight up just nuke Raccoon City, and I can't help but suspect that that would just be the solution still for this whole village, is that it would just get nuked. And I guess there are definitely some sections here that I just don't remember so much. Somebody here is holding out. It's almost like what they did is they retroactively added a spindle to where a treasure would be in separate ways, but I bet it's actually the opposite case, and they took where there were spindles and put some different treasures there. You definitely are running into more and more enemies that seem like they only... Wow. 2 shots necessary to even break window. Yep, it definitely feels like some enemies will only die after the Las Plagas splits their head. This is just ridiculous. A, that I keep jumping back into the menu. This is really anti-speedrunning technology. And B, that we now have this full gold links and nothing to do with it. Honestly though, even if you did even if you didn't get any of the treasures, you still probably would have more than enough gold. Unless you just ran through the whole game, which I suppose there's one way to play that way. This is the first time we've seen the prisoners or the taser characters. I think this is a particularly poorly designed room because you can't really target things and shoot the people before you enter the room, where a significant amount of this game is on the level of being a pure strategy game with very, very, very little actual skill necessary to play. If you just plan ahead and just take things easy, you're perfectly fine. But it's not 100% strategy, and anything short of being 100% strategy is going to break the idea of a player being able to win no matter what, as long as they can think things through. And this wouldn't be a good game or a better game if it was pure strategy. There is perhaps a Lara Croft Go equivalent that the Resident Evil series could have made, where you're moving Leon around to get behind zombies or to get a straight line shot around zombies. In the like in Lara Croft Go there, or Hitman Go, might be a better comparison. These zombies may move around on a grid of points on the board, and in that way you could make a pure strategy game, if what I said just makes any sense at all. If you played Hitman Go, it would make sense, but if you haven't, it wouldn't. And honestly, I would prefer to see, there's Leon and Krauser fighting the first time, so we're potentially going to finish the chapter here by hookshotting up. And yeah, I don't know if we're going to go any further. We may finish the chapter in a cutscene here, and then we may have an actual boss fight after the fact. And the trick is just being duplicated. You're going to watch this long cutscene, and then you're eventually going to get a prompt, a QuickTime event.
All for Umbrella's sake. Umbrella? Almost let it slip. Enough talk. Die, comrade!
Inherently, Resident Evil 4 was kind of praised for its QuickTime events because there really hadn't been a lot of that before this point. And because of the massive amount of praise for QuickTime events,
your life, but it's not like you can escape your inevitable death,
it led to an entire generation of games with just way too many QuickTime events in it, to the point where it's taken, it feels like at least a decade and a half for people to stop putting so many QuickTime events in games.
Some other time.
The Wii with its one button control, the GameCube with its one button main control, all played a role to QuickTime events also.
Leon S. Kennedy, perhaps the most essential part of this mission.
And by the time they got to Resident Evil 6, the amount of QuickTime events were way too much.
To survive against overwhelming odds.
Not so much of Resident Evil 5 though.
And he's improved since then. Practically a genius, he has smarts and he knows how to use them. On top
Clearly,
of that,
this
his
is
service as a government agent is tough.
Mary Sue type character,
All
Leon
behind
now.
the scenes to make him think he's the primary player here. Though it may be naive of me to think that'll be easy.
In the sense that
The
Leon is the creator's self-insert character, and they're making him look as cool as possible,
but I need him in
with
the
no
supporting role
flaws
for
and
me to achieve my
no
goals.
real
I'll do
limitations.
whatever it takes to keep him in his place and make this all go smoothly.
I'm not sure we ever get an
Of
idea
course,
as far as
his role didn't
what-
exist at all until a few months ago. Back then, my role was much simpler too.
like we don't
But
even
that
know
was
what her
before the
goal
president's
was.
daughter was abducted and Leon was dispatched alone to find her. Talk about a major script revision.
I don't know why
I don't think I need to worry.
why
Leon's been through worse.
she's
and
been
always
kidnapped
comes up
for
smelling
months.
Like roses.
apparently Ashley
His
has.
consistent luck is part
That
of the
seems
reason
weird.
why I have absolute and unshakable faith in my vision of what's in store for him.
No, she just calls Ashley the president's daughter. Which several of the characters really do that. Like, that's how little they care about Ashley as a character. But yeah, Leon needed some flaws in his personality to make him feel more like a human and less like a superhero, although this is basically an action superhero game anyway, so why confuse the issue and just embrace it? Just make him the Superman equivalent of a character. The problem though, Superman has barely any flaws either as a personality, and that's why Superman comics are typically boring. Let's go ahead and save again. we should be now slightly over 4 hours. Yeah, almost 4 hours on the dot into this either second to last chapter or last chapter. Sure would have made a lot more sense to fight Krauser. In that scene.
Report. Time is almost up.
Krauser's dead.
Really?
Yeah. Just skips it.
Leon doesn't die easily. That's fine. We can use him to clean up Sadler for us. We'll let them fight it out. Neither one of them will manage to come out unharmed.
Easier said than done.
Either way, it's your job to clean up what's left of them when the fight is over. Don't forget who is running the show. Whatever happens, we can't let either of them live to see tomorrow. Our goal is to retrieve the sample. Take out anything that might interfere with our plans.
And that's funny because that's just like a completely different depiction of how they were showing Wesker. They're showing them from a third person over the shoulder section then, instead of just the camera looking directly on him. It's kind of a waste of energy to animate it differently at the end here. So we're just finding the sample, and yeah, it's not, I think, much of a map. I think this is pretty much where our story ends. What you could do here fairly easily is we could have Ada being brainwashed in a simulation.
Good. What are you buying?
There you go. More space. Can we afford it? Or treasure map.
Is that all, stranger?
Sure. Let's get the treasure map.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you can even buy? No.
What are you selling?
Sell that.
Thank you.
Sell those
Is that
two.
all? Thank you.
We could sell the first aid spray if we needed it. We could sell the bowgun bolts. Each bolt is worth 2,500, so they are very valuable compared to grenades, which
Is that all?
really I just want room, so I'm
Thank
just going to
you.
get rid of all the flash grenades.
What are you buying? Is that all? Thank you.
And that gives us all the room we possibly would want. And
Is that
let's just
all?
go ahead and buy this. Like, if I regret doing that, then oh well. I may not
Thank you.
ever actually
Come
equip
back
it,
anytime.
however. Like, so, like, if anything, the scope may not even zoom in much more. Those high-res textures definitely being shown off, though, when you do zoom in. So, yeah, from that point, that's with the scope equipped. If we remove that from that point, that's with the scope not equipped. So it gives you a slight improved a slightly improved zoom that, since the game is so short anyways, you probably are not going to take much advantage of. I see 4 things, so it could be another thing that combines. And yeah, I don't know how you get the beer stein. Don't have a lot of bullets here. That's just kind of a great example that of you would have to have a path that was incredibly straight to use the zoom, and you're just not going to have an incredibly straight path in this game. And you would have known that, like, as long as you generally understand the idea that most of the things you see in this game are going to be the same level. Alright. That was a lot of our bow arrows, but I don't think when you fight Sadler you're actually in a place of safety where you can shoot something from the distance. Anyways, so let's see, where are we? Yeah. Hook shot to get up here. That knocked that guy down. There's some gun bullets over here. And I think are you supposed to jump down here? Doesn't seem like I can. Blue eye. Interesting that there might be insects somewhere to do the lantern. We have a floating bullets from the guy that got knocked over. This is after the whole mic situation. Alright. Who's more likely to hit me? This guy or this guy? And I guess we have a more linear path this time. Why it's giving me so much handgun ammo, I don't know. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. And we never got an upgraded knife, so that doesn't help you either. I just want to check the map. And put that there, put that there. It feels like the game should probably reward you for being better at organizing, if anything. If you got an actual score for keeping your inventory organized. Like, I think some people would like that. And yeah, if this game had come out much later, there almost certainly would have been a mobile game where you were given specific amounts of bullets and ammos and guns in a very small attaché case, and you would have to merge it all in and play Tetris in Resident Evil style. I don't think I actually looked at the map, and I think that's why I went into the menu there. I keep going into the menu and coming back out. Yeah, we have about 3 health upgrades, which does seem to imply I can get my health up to almost full health. I'm not sure if I believe it would be 100% full health. So, general idea here to try and just keep everybody under control and in this section. Alright. It gives me an opportunity to use this. But I will say, I probably need to do something more with this. You can't go over here, so you are just go ahead and use this again. Are we going for anything here? Nope, we literally just have to wait. Unless there's a hook shot up here or something, which it doesn't seem like there is. Let's just like unload a full clip on him. Yeah. Do we have anybody else around that we can target? The fact that you have to zoom in and out to look for enemies anyways really does make it not helpful to have a faster zoom. I used pretty much all my TMP bullets, and I was trying to save them. So now I'm hoping that maybe the broken bullets can be used more. I can and should jump down there at some point. But first things first. Let's come over here. Whole bunch of hand grenades and things like will be helpful. I could probably dump a bunch of hand grenades into Salazar or Sadler. Salazar doesn't even show up in this game. since this takes 3 shots, no, this takes 4 spots. So either way you put it, it's taking up a whole extra row compared to the crossbows themselves. And yeah, obviously the bullets fill in your space in the top left. So something like that might be a little bit better. I'm just really over organizing here. And again, I really wanted to come to check out the map just to see that the rest of the collectible items are in a different area. It might as well just not be picking up gold at all, unless it's just going to give you a score, which the game should just tell you that you'll be scored at the end of this playthrough. The more gold you have, the more bullets you have, the higher your score times the amount of time you take. And then I guess back to the idea, if you were working for the mercenary, the merchant, and placing items and getting gold for placing items in specific spots, that would give you potentially an increased score. Another hand grenade. And yeah, if anything, we now have a situation where the health probably can be maxed out. We may need 2 or 3 more yellow things, and we may not run into it, and we may just not be really running into any enemies. Like, this definitely doesn't feel like there's enemies there. Alright, well, I think this breaks down pretty much the same way, except for we'll go ahead and just lift our health up. There may not be as strong of enemies. And I really don't have enough bullets for the sniping. In a funny way, I guess the idea maybe is to intentionally have a desperate struggle and just be low on bullets always. Alright. I can't imagine anything else would work here. So, probably supposed to wait till he runs out and then fire. About to die. I gotta just hip fire on this. that is all I could pull off there. And then I want to figure out where the other guy is that's firing. We don't have another upgrade, but we do have health kits, and I will use that. The danger with sequences like this in any game, but particularly in this game, which is so short on its like gold, or on its bullets that it drops, is that any sequence they give you where you can refill bullets may also cause you to waste and lose more bullets than do regain them. And the game isn't quite as balanced as you might like, so that when you go and pick up a box of bullets, if you're kind of low, you could get more than 5 or 6 bullets. Like that shotgun box could obviously have given me twice as many bullets, and then I would have been in a much better position. I guess the question is, did I get everything? I think I did. And it doesn't seem like it's going to do too much extra. Take that. Combine that with that. Not really worth it to even move that. Equip this again. So run, kick, and hip fire. If we get just in the general sights, you can pull that off. Although noticeably, if you didn't have that, you're then screwed with very little TMP shots or shotgun shots. Your handgun and your sniper rifle unlikely to be helpful at all in that fight. And yeah, I think I would have definitely preferred to be playing against Krauser. And yeah, if the game was a simulation and you could have just gone through kind of a boss rush, which isn't what this quite is, I probably would have enjoyed that idea more, of fighting an El Gigante and Krauser and It and Sadler and Salazar. Okay, there is a treasure in this next area where there barely weren't any. I don't think there really was a zombie fight at all. Can I hit this? See if it drops a spinel, which I don't know if any of them actually ever did drop a spinel. It's very possibly just a false thought I had when I first played the game, and it became something that I now can never remember whether it's worth the time or not to do this. The fact that it lets you do that does imply that there was going to be more of a... This guy has a rocket launcher. Let's kill him for sure. There very possibly could have been more of a plan to have lighting affect your gameplay, and that hiding in the shadows would give you a stealth mission. So yeah, that guy had a rocket launcher, but he didn't drop it, which that's probably for the best, because I would have struggled to have room for a rocket launcher. The drift here is fairly far at this distance. And it doesn't seem like we're doing too much as far as getting into a potential temple or a building of some sort. But life is back up. And in that case, the shotgun is your only choice anyways, because you need them to back off. Yeah, it definitely feels like there should have been a temple here. Something. So many shots I am taking at a very ridiculous distance for no reason. Red eye. Yeah, and unless Assignment Ada is just some content that I have never played before, which it's possible it is. Well, I don't even know what Assignment Ada really would be otherwise. So I kind of think I haven't ever played it. If you can if this game did have more of a stealth mechanic and in the darkness helped you, the lighting here to show you where to go wouldn't actually benefit you much unless you were going to run all the way to this area and then have the Ganados chase after you. Yeah. You still have a lot of broken bow shots, not a lot of sniper rifle shots, not a lot of shotgun shots, and not a lot of TMP shots. So any preparation I do through this room may be not that helpful. And then what happens here is the cutscene where Las Plagas takes control of Leon and he tries to strangle you, and I wonder if there's anything more that happens, because like you jump down here, there's some bolts here to grab, then you walk through that room and you get the cutscene, and then in the main story she walks, I think, out
Leon,
the same
okay?
door as Leon, or out a different door. I'm not sure I remember. I guess maybe you'll get a quick time event that's unique here. You could get a quick time event that would just be like tap X to struggle, and they chose not to do that. And no quick time event to stab him or anything like that.
Sorry, Ada.
It would be interesting if it turned out that the
We have to get that
ribbon
parasite out of the
around her
body.
neck is hiding like a Las
But
Plagas.
before that, I gotta save Ashley.
Fine. Let's split up.
That it's like hiding a Las Plagas thing or something that is controlling her. Some kind of maybe explosive collar. Yeah, she just exits out the same door that Leon exits out of. But I don't think anything like that gets revealed. What I suspect is the case is that they put the collar and the kind of tall necks and the tall sweaters on all of the characters in this game so that they could do an old animation trick in which they are not directly connecting the 3D models of the heads to the 3D models of the bodies. That's something that they invented for like Yogi Bear in 2D animation, where the bear and the head cells were different layers and the tie on Yogi Bear hid it. In 3D, I don't know if that trick is necessary, but that might very well show the difference between just the thinking patterns of... Yeah, and so she closes that, of Capcom at the time, because Capcom at the time may have been hiring people who were used to old like 2D animation tricks, and they're trying to apply it to 3D animation. I guess the question here is, can I shoot through the bars? Yes. Let's just go ahead and clear out this room and pick up the collectibles, and then we'll come back. Now these doors would be magically reset, so it doesn't make a lot of sense that some things change and some things don't change. As far as yeah, and she's like disgusted by this, and you can't shoot the regenerator. That's, you're leaving that for Leon. And see, she's ahead of Leon now, so this would be the perfect spot for her to potentially run into zombies that Leon just never saw. And we run into a little bit of that, but not enough. So one more full upgrade there. Ridiculous amounts of hand grenades. Like, if each one of these did just 50, which maybe they do a lot more than that, you're talking 300 damage on Sadler. And there's no balancing factor here.
Welcome.
As to why you would do anything else.
Good, what are you selling?
Like, I can sell 2 Velvet Blues here to get more money.
Thank you.
And probably could sell all the cat's eyes. But maybe you would just hold on to those in the New Game Plus, but even then it really wouldn't help you any. If you only took money around to a second run and you didn't keep the upgrades on your guns or your ammo, then selling everything or having everything be sold automatically for a second round might make a second round more interesting.
Buying?
The only thing I could really buy is if a first aid spray was in stock, but it isn't.
Come back.
So, map-wise, we have a treasure piece to collect, and then a couple more rooms, and we probably could go like 10 or 20 more minutes and finish it, but every time I say that, it turns out not to really be the case. So we've gone an hour. We might as well just save here and end this episode here. That makes so much sense. And then if the next episode takes 10-20 minutes to finish the entire game, then we can start assignment Ada and at least look at what that is, because maybe assignment Ada really is more like the Mercenaries and isn't actually a storyline type experience. And if that was the case, then I won't make a mistake of trying to start an episode and then trying to stretch out what is perhaps something I don't even want to play into an hour-long episode. We're still not being very much of a video game critic. This is probably one of the worst games as far as me trying to be a critic, because there isn't a lot to say here. Yes, Separate Ways highlights worse enemy spawns, worse level layout compared to the main game, while not changing anything too much, just doing a very minimal thing. It feels like it is story that was unnecessary and gameplay that was unnecessary and better left on the cutting room floor. If you told me we could get a 10 or 20% better version of Resident Evil 5 had Separate Ways never been made, I would prefer a 10 or 20% improvement in Resident Evil 5. And yeah, the fan-made textures still look great, although we are now on the island, so we're not going to get to enjoy that much more. Having just a single enemy in the Separate Ways extra content would have helped quite a bit. If you had just been constantly chased by it or chased by a new character from the beginning, that would have been fine. If we were just fighting the bosses at some point too, like, even if it doesn't storyline make any sense, to potentially have Krauser show up and fight him right after Leon fought him, that would be interesting. It would also kind of make Leon look less cool if it turns out that most of the BOWs he thought he was killing, he was really just knocking down for a few minutes, and then Ada came in and had to defeat him all over again. Running into the same enemies in a different location would have been interesting also. Or just having like a single El Gigante show up or anything. There's not a single boss fight in this entire thing. Yeah. When you look at the numbers as far as like what they probably were asked to do, it seems like this game probably, Separate Ways in particular, probably only delivered on the bare minimum. Like 5 chapters, but the chapters are incredibly small. 1 new weapon that takes up too much space and is not that useful, except for maybe at the very end. And maybe 1 boss fight at the very end of the 5th chapter. I think we may have 1 boss fight there. And then 5 cutscenes that are all done at the very beginning of each chapter and not very good. 5 pages of dialogue to make those cutscenes. There's no new shooting gallery here. It's crazy that the shooting gallery isn't unlocked in the extras in the main game anyways, because it would be fairly easy to say, once you've gotten all the bottle caps, you could play the shooting gallery on the main menu. It would make a lot of sense for them to have created different layouts for the shooting gallery or different enemies for the shooting gallery. I would have preferred the shooting gallery to have a level EFGH instead of the Mercenaries mode. But yeah, that's probably just a personal opinion. I bet a lot of people do like the Mercenaries mode. If you like the way Resident Evil controls and you're really good at it, Mercenary mode kind of helps you play the game a little bit more. But if you like the collecting and the inventory management and the strategy and knowing where enemies are going to spawn and killing them on a strategic way, you're not going to like Mercenaries mode. Mercenary mode is obviously more action, where I'm more strategy. Yeah. And the game has been wonky in a couple places, like when I try to do a quick turn around, and the controls are still a little stiff. So those are things that obviously you would hope in the remake would be fixed. But I imagine not too much is actually going to be changed in Resident Evil 4. I wouldn't be surprised if the remake of Resident Evil 4 takes almost every scene, every cutscene, every level design, and reimagines it a very little amount and just remakes it to look bigger and better. The game may feel too familiar for its own good as a remake, honestly. Alright, well, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.